G'day geeks, Chris here, and about a week ago from when I record this, we were in Melbourne. So myself and my good mate Ryan, the collector kid, we flew all the way to Melbourne from Perth, the other side of Australia, for a couple of reasons. The first reason was to visit the huge, the absolutely massive, the appropriately named monster size vintage and modern toy fair in Melbourne, and we also went there to go to Lobos Collectibles, which is Australia's biggest vintage toy store. So my video on Lobos Collectibles, day one of our Melbourne trip, is already on my channel. Definitely give that a like and a view if you haven't already. And this is all about what I looked at, what I rummaged through, what I picked up, what I saw, all the bargains that I got at the vintage modern toy fair. And as I said, it was definitely monster size. There was 500 vendors selling their stuff there. And yes, the Melbourne weather didn't disappoint us. It was a bit chilly and a bit wet and a bit rainy, as you'll see in some of the footage. But we spent probably 3 or 4 hours there doing lots of laps. I'm not sure how many steps we got up to, but it was pretty awesome. Anyway, enough of me blabbering on. Let's check out some of the footage from the vintage modern toy fair, and you'll see that it is monster sized. Here we go, we're getting excited for Melbourne Showgrounds, monster size toy fair. We're going to spend a lot of money, make a lot of friends, bring home a lot of toys. Does that sound about right, Ryan?
Absolutely. It's going to be incredible. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I must say a huge shout out to Will and Andrew, the organisers of the toy fair, who allowed myself and Ryan and a few other YouTubers to have media passes. So we got there a bit early and just kind of looked at the place. We didn't get any shopping done early, so don't worry about that. We just went in the same time as everybody else, but it's good just to kind of get there a bit early and kind of talk to each other, do a bit of filming and that kind of thing. So a huge thanks to Will and Andrew. As I said, the weather was pretty chilly, but we were soon off and running, and that kind of got all the limbs are moving and the blood pumping. All of us YouTubers had stuff in our minds and a bit of a wish list, a bit of a grail list of stuff we were looking for. But thankfully it was, with 500 sellers, it was well organised. There were some Pokemon cards and Matchbox and that kind of stuff that, you know, isn't really up my alley, but it's probably the biggest, well, it's not probably, it's definitely the biggest collection of vintage toys I've seen ever under one roof at the Melbourne Showgrounds, appropriate venue just because of the size and the scope. But it was just such an awesome day. There was so much to see, and even now as I look back at some of the footage, it's like, I should have bought that, but there's always next year. So yes, Ryan and I, after all of our shopping on the way back, we had to buy some extra luggage. Thankfully we didn't pay extra, we didn't go over the weight limit, thankfully. But you can see here, as we're all packing up and all that kind of stuff, we certainly made out like bandits. There was some deals to be done, and we got a lot of good stuff as well. So yes, let's just have a look at some of the footage, and then I'll come back at the end of this video and show you all the stuff I picked up. So as you can see, it was a pretty epic day, 500 sellers, but it wasn't crowded in the sense that there was like, you know, jockeying for room and trying to wait for people to look at the tables and that kind of thing. It was like beautifully spaced out, and all the aisles actually had letters, so you could, I guess you could find people and stuff, which is easy enough, and it makes it good for the sellers. But yeah, with the 80s and 90s music playing, we all had our bags and we were all just amazed at all the stuff on display. It was a wonderful day for sure. So before we all headed off, I did run into Dave from Still Only 35 Cents, so give his channel a follow if you like comics. And also Sizdog from Nostalgia Button. It was good to see him in the flesh for the first time too. So the first store that I went to was selling his He-Man stuff, so a lot of his personal collection. It was him and his wife there. They kind of had this cool stall, like very well displayed, and stuff out the back as well. And he was selling most of his complete Master Universe figures. He was just clearing out space. His kids weren't really into them. He wanted to pass them on to other collectors. So I picked up for $60 a complete King Hiss from Master Universe with his card back. So I was very happy to get to that. So King Hiss is one of my favorite characters from Master Universe. So obviously another one of the bad guys along with Skeletor and Hordak. So King Hiss is the snake guy with his snap-on armor pieces. So you take the armor off and he becomes a snake. I've got the Master Universe Classics version of him as well, and the new one that they've just unveiled from Mondo looks awesome as well. So he becomes complete with his staff and his shield just to complete it. So yes, very happy to get him, but that's not the only thing I got from that first seller. With this first seller, he had a whole bunch of stuff on display, including stuff that no one else that I've spoken to seems to remember. So please, please, please let me know in the comments down below if you remember Commander M. So it was an Australian only, I believe, mail-in subscription kind of newsletter in the 80s from Mattel, Commander M Mattel. So obviously he makes Barbie, Hot Wheels and Master Universe. Me and my brothers would get this, and then they'd send you a present on your birthday, which I believe was a Horde Trooper. So this is mid-1980s. It didn't run for that long, but he had his personal collection of the Commander M newsletters, and I said, I'll take the lot. So I just got, I got all of them. So I'm very excited to actually open these up and read these. They're kind of like little puzzles and, you know, artwork and competitions and that kind of stuff. And Commander M was like an actual person whose face is on the badge there. There was another badge that had like Hot Wheels and stuff on them. But yeah, please let me know. I haven't met anyone else apart from this seller who actually knows what I'm talking about when I talk about Commander M. So I am pretty certain I'll do a video just on this because it's a bit hard to find information online about it. So yes, King Hiss and Commander M. Already my day was off to a good start. So these figures are from the early 2000s, the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, which was an awesome cartoon, especially if you're a DC fan like me. So we've got Aztec, who McFarlane Toys have just released a figure of. So obscure DC character there. We've got Red Tornado. I've got a few different versions of Red Tornado in my collection, so pretty happy to see him. And they've got kind of, you know, soft capes. And finally, Mr. Miracle as well. So pretty cool to see these three. The Justice League Unlimited, they're known for their kind of spindly legs, so they're not always easy to stand. This is based on the kind of Bruce, Tim, Paul Dini kind of era after Batman, the animated series. So they've got that big chest, small leg look, so they don't always stand well. But I love that cartoon, so happy to get 3 more to represent that cartoon. You would have seen in the footage there was so much variety. There were people selling Pokemon cards and VHS, computer games, comics. There was a guy who was for the first time selling cereal boxes and chip packets, which is pretty awesome. And so yeah, there was certainly something for everybody. And there were people just selling accessories as well. So I managed to get 3 accessories for my He-Man figure, and I've just dropped one of them. So the blue axe and shield, which is pretty cool, and the sword and the shield are there. So I mean, if I was a bit more prepared, I would have come with a list of what G.I. Joe and Transformers and He-Man accessories I needed. And he was also selling a bunch of the mini figures, the muscle, the Kanuki Men. So there was, you know, I didn't take out my phone, so I may already have these already actually, because I've got a few muscle in my collection, but these are so cool. Remember, they used to come in the little jars. If I could find the little like jars or little plastic rubbish bins that they'd come in, I'd be happy to get those. But yes, I just love how the sculpts are also unique on these mussels. So 5 more for the mussel collection. Speaking of minifigs, I got these for $5, so $2.50 each. I don't know what they are, but they look cool. They might be a trash bag bunch or something like that. So we got a bit of a wood kind of tree looking guy, a couple of clubs in his hand, and this is like a eagle kind of person with some wings and stuff. So they look kind of trash bag bunch. They might be that, I'm not exactly sure. But I'm always after like cool minis, and these are like good for D&D minis as well, if nothing else. So don't know what these are, I'll have to look them up, but they look cool. $35, I got this chunky fella. So this is Ram Man from Mattel, based on the classic 2000X cartoon series, Master Universe. And yes, so you would have seen like Clawful, Roboto, a few of the chunkier fellows. Apparently this fella was never released in Australia, so in retail, so for $35 I was quite happy to see him. He's got a removable kind of shoulder pauldrons there, comes with his axe, but he is a chunky fella. In fact, if we kind of compare him to Mr. Miracle or a Ninja from Chuck Norris, you can see he's a big stocky fella. So I'm pretty happy because Ram Man is one of my favourite characters. So there we go, Ram Man from 2000X cartoon. This is Aquaman from the classic DC Comics series Kingdom Come, which is a future set DC Comics series, so it's actually pretty good. It's probably at least 20 years old now. It's kind of based on the Alex Ross artwork, and this is Aquaman looking very kingly. I think he might be missing a sword because you can see his scabbard there, and he's got a hole in it. But he comes with his cool little trident. It's a bit broken, but it's already so long anyway, so that's not a huge deal. But the sculpt on these Alex Ross Kingdom Come figures is absolutely amazing, with the chainmail and the hair. Not very poseable. They don't come with, they never came with extra hands or heads or that kind of stuff. But for a 20-year-old figure, wonderful paint job, and I just love the textures and the flowing robes and all that kind of stuff. So one more for my Kingdom Come collection. I've heard about Uncle T for quite a while from all the YouTubers. He's a bit of a celebrity over there in the eastern states. He sells a lot of good stuff. So I picked up a Dino Riders, not a VHS, but actually even more unique than that, it's actually a beta. So yes, how's that? You know, the one that didn't win the VHS wars there. So Dino Riders, it was only $5. The box is not the best, but it's a good display piece. I wanted to pick this up because last time we did the live stream with Ryan the Collector Kid and Shane from Q-Boy Collectibles, they both had Dino Riders VHS, and I got a bit jealous. So I got that from Uncle T, as well as this awesome Robotech figure. He always has some nice carded displays of all manner of things. So I had this figure, Max Sterling, as a kid. It was the only Robotech figure I had as a kid, so happy to see him in pretty good condition as well. $35, not bad. So yes, they kind of got that O-ring G.I. Joe kind of look about them. Comes with one accessory, but a good carded example of a Robotech figure. Uncle T was also kind enough to give me and all the other YouTubers a cool little keyring, so that's pretty awesome, so thank you for that. And as I was doing the rounds as well, I ran into Ryan, and he purchased this for me, which is pretty cool. So this is a Master Universe loot bag, so he knows how much I like Motu and the merchandise. So yes, if you had a party in the 80s, this would be what you'd give all your fellow Motu loving friends. And it's got, this bag belongs to, and it's got an awesome picture of He-Man and Battlecat on there. So any Motu merchandise from the era is just so awesome to see. So thank you, Ryan. Well, let's keep this train rolling. So I did pick up a lot of things, including Fluffy, so F-L-U-F-F-I. It does stand for something, but he's basically a android or a robot ape from the Bionic 6. Who remembers Bionic 6? What a great cartoon that was. So yes, I had this one as a kid as well. I also had the quad bike, which I would love to get, but haven't seen that anywhere. But yes, Fluffy, limited articulation, but the Bionic 6 figures had cool die-cast metal and kind of translucent parts, kind of like Roboto. So he's got his head kind of moves, and his arms move as well as his legs. So he's a pretty chunky fella. $50. I've been after him for a while. He's in pretty good shape. So Fluffy from Bionic 6. What a great theme song that was. Talking about great theme songs, A-Team. So this is Hannibal the leader, played by George Papard, I believe, in the live action 1980s TV series A-Team, starring Mr. T. So I do have a A-Team B.A. Baracus Mr. T figure, but these are pretty good. I think I had the whole set of these as a kid. One of my childhood friends gave them to me, so relatively good articulation for the time. They've got the traditional kind of squashy head, and he came with quite a few accessories. I don't know if this is all of them, but he came with a couple of guns, which is nice, with a strap as well that's not broken. A belt, which is cool, and a backpack with some like missiles or whatever on the back as well. So he may be missing a few accessories and weapons, but a relatively complete Hannibal. I think he was $60, so you don't see the A-Team figures too often, so happy to get Hannibal. Next up, from the same seller, I got the Ninja from Chuck Norris and the Karate Commandos. I've been after this figure for a while actually. So Chuck Norris and the Karate Commandos was a short-lived comic from Marvel, I think, and also a animated series. And he's got kind of the, you know, the action power kind of kick. So I think Ninja here is one of the bad guys. He's one that I had as a kid. Didn't have a lot of Chuck Norris figures, but I do remember him. I also picked up a Jurassic Park, RIP Sam Neill, because I don't actually have any Jurassic Park in my collection, so I've got to represent the 90s. And this is Futura from Filmation's Ghostbusters. So I had her as a kid. These two in particular I've been after for a while. They'd been on my eBay watch list and stuff. So she was $60. He had another one there which is cheaper, but her hair was cut off, so obviously someone as a child kind of gave her a bit of a makeover, and she had like that much hair. So I'm glad I paid a bit extra to get this one. Needs a bit of a wash, but yes, Futura from Filmation Ghostbusters. Pretty cool to see her. G.I. Joes. I love G.I. Joe. So the G.I. Joe classified line from Hasbro, the new 6-inch figures are absolutely awesome. So I really just collect the figures that I had as a kid. And then there was a seller selling a whole bunch of G.I. Joes from like 80s, 90s, 2000s. So I picked up a few, including a not complete. But Tunnel Rat, again, this is a figure I had as a kid. His gun is a bit broken and he's missing I think the torch that goes on his backpack. But all of these figures come with their card backs, which is awesome. And most have stands as well, which is great. So these are all the figures that I had as a kid. So I was happy to see these. I bought 4. Got Tunnel Rat, Hardback, Gung Ho, and he's always hard to find with his accessory because it's basically just a little stick, like a marching wand or whatever. And the last one I got was a Rock and Roll with his cool kind of gun. I remember him for sure. So yes, 4 different G.I. Joes, vintage, most of the complete, and all of them with their card backs with the little bios on them. So that's pretty awesome. We're almost coming to the end. After this, there's just a few more figures. So I ran into this seller who Ryan knew, and this was a bag of kind of D&D themed, kind of cheapo mini kind of things. You know, little just like party toys or whatever. So a whole bag of them. So they're pretty cool. So yes, we've got all different types of animals. And when I saw these, I certainly remembered these from my childhood. So there's all different odd looking monsters, and again you can certainly use them for D&D. These have all got names, I just can't remember any of them at the moment, but yes, pretty awesome to see. And just the sculpts and stuff are just wonderful, and the face paint, they certainly got that kind of knock-offy cheap plastic charm about them. So this is a soft vinyl, I think, toy. So this is from an art toy. So Ryan and I were hoping to visit a couple of other places while we're in Melbourne, including This Is Not a Toy Store and the Fortress pub, which is like a gaming kind of pub, which we didn't get the chance to visit either of those because we were just so busy. But I spoke to the stall guy, the guy at the store, I think his name might have been Van, I could be wrong, about art toys and stuff. So this is not a toy store in Melbourne. They have a Video Days store just opened up above them as well. But yes, we didn't get the chance, but I'm glad I picked this guy up. So I think this is from their Kickstarter from a couple of years ago called, I want to say Triumvirate. I could be wrong about that, but basically they're modular parts, 3 different colors, and you can like take them off, and you know, so there's all of these are in pink and green and blue, and you can just kind of swap the parts. So there's a few different options there. There were 3 left, but this looked the best one. So if we do go back to Melbourne, I certainly want to visit This Is Not a Toy Store. And we did have a bit of a chat about Shane from Q-Boy Collectibles as well, because he's got something on display there and has had art shows or submissions to art shows in the past as well. So yeah, pretty cool that the art community is thriving in Melbourne. So this is a pretty cool looking thing. It adds a bit of colour and a bit of sparkle to the shelf. Pretty awesome. So we went to Lobos the day before on the Saturday. The toy fair was held on a Sunday, so definitely watch my Melbourne trip day 1 video if you want to see what Lobos, Australia's biggest toy store, looks like. But yeah, here's some extra footage. You always notice some extra things the second go round, including a fabulous Star Wars displays down the back, which I think not all of it was for sale. I think a lot of it was Dennis's personal collection, so it's kind of just on display. But the dioramas that he puts together are just awesome. I picked up a complete Roboto. Again, had 2 Robotos as a kid, so he comes complete with 3 of his accessories, his gun, his claw and his axe. I did see quite a few Robotos at the toy fair, but they weren't all complete and some of them were quite yellow. So pretty happy to get him. He's one of my favourite, him and Rayman, some of my favourite Masters of the Universe characters. So yes, a complete Roboto from Lobos. On the first day that we went to Lobos, I did have a look at this and I was like, if it's still there when we go back, or if we go back, I'll grab it, and I'm glad that I did. So this is kind of a quick change version of Superman based on Superman the animated series. I'll probably leave him on card, but basically you just put the Clark Kent outfit over the top of Superman. I guess he means he looks like he'll have blue sleeves, but that's fair enough. So yes, pretty cool. These Kenner 90s lines are just awesome, and the Superman and Batman and you know, the Justice League animated cartoon from that time are just awesome. So there we go, Mission Masters Quick Change Superman. A couple of DC Universe Classics figures also from Lobos. So they had a whole bunch of DC Universe Classics figures on display. So here is a classic Doomsday, $29. So pretty awesome. I mean, they've got that definitely aesthetic with the wider body and the smaller head. That's kind of what the DC Universe Classics figures look like. But yeah, thankfully the spikes and stuff are quite soft and pliable, so I'm not going to stab myself. And they've got that weird kind of articulation with the hips, so they can all do the you know, the Jean-Claude Van Dammes or the Chuck Norrises. But yeah, pretty cool. So there's a classic Doomsday, the bad guy who killed Superman, and Black Lightning. So he comes with a couple of lightning effects as well, which is great. But yes, this is the more modern version of Black Lightning, another obscure DC character, but I've always liked this costume on him, so pretty cool. So there we go, Black Lightning and Doomsday. And finally from Lobos, I picked up some G1 Transformers. So there are some Transformers behind me, but yeah, the prices are pretty good. Most of them had their original card back, so again, like probably all action figure collectors, I'm getting the figures I had as a kid. So this is Sea Spray with his card back, which is so cool. And here's the bag of stuff. So that's Sea Spray with a relatively simple transformation. These are just the cheaper, smaller Transformers. But yes, pretty awesome. I mean, a very simple kind of design, not overly complicated transformation, but pretty cool. So yes, there we go, that's Sea Spray. And I've got 2 more. I've got, I think this guy is Wide Load, a Throttlebot. And again, a very simple transformation. He's like a dump truck. And yes, you reveal his head and his arms come out. And he's one of those, the Throttlebots, you pull them back and, you know, let them go. So how much is he? 29 bucks, not bad. Again, amazing condition, so no paint chipping or fading or any of that. And then Cosmo. Again, a figure I had as a kid, so he didn't have his card back, so he's a bit cheaper, but basically a UFO transformer. It was an awesome day, an awesome weekend actually, and it was definitely worth the trip from Perth to Melbourne. So a huge shout out to Ryan the Collector Kid, and also all the YouTubers that we managed to catch up with. So Scree Collects, Sarah and Dean from Totally Taylor Retro Hunters, Lee and Wade from the Two Barbarians who flew all the way from New Zealand, Scott Crusher, Still Under 35 Cents I've mentioned, and Sizdog Nostalgia Button I've mentioned. So yeah, it was good just to spend all the time the weekend with those guys. And after Lobos, after the Vintage Modern Toy Fair, we managed to have our last dinner together before we all went back to our separate cities. So Ryan and I went back to the apartment and packed up all our luggage. We had to do a late night trip at Kmart, get extra luggage. Thankfully we weren't overweight, but buying that extra suitcase from Kmart was definitely a wise choice. Looking forward to doing it all again next year, and highly recommend it. There's going to be a whole bunch of other channels that are doing all videos about this as well, so definitely give them a like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Thank you for watching. It's been a long couple of videos with this and the Lobos one, but yes, hopefully you've seen some stuff that you've liked. I'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye, geeks.